I don't know what made me think of it, but like, remember we used to do the sayings thing, and you have to guess what the
See,
sayings were.
this is crazy. I just started hitting record. This is going to be the opening of the show. The opening. So right before I just hit record, I said, Dave, you know what's insane? I have screenshots lined up. We don't talk about anything beforehand, and then magically we somehow transition from one game to one game, and it goes right into the things that I had prepared. And like
Yeah.
that's if you go watch last week, it's amazing how it just started that way. And I was gonna open up saying how on our video last week, you said something. One of the commenters said, "How are you guys not bringing that up as a saying that you have to guess the definition for,
What
like
was
you
it?
did last year?" And now you just bring that up right before I
It's
start
good,
the
man. We're
show.
in sync. What was it? What was the saying?
Well, let's open up with a
Hey,
saying
everyone.
that you brought up last week, and now we're both going to have to guess it. And I haven't looked it up. So after we both take a guess, I
All right,
think I'm
let's
going to
hear it.
need you to look it up and see if
All
there's.
right.
Okay.
I'm on
Last
pins and
week,
needles.
last week you had mentioned, and I forget what player or team this was in reference to, but you said the other shoe is going to drop.
Oh,
Why were shoes drop? Like, why was one shoe dropping and then the other shoe dropped?
man. I randomly started chat GPTing a lot of these last night. Like, uh, kick the bucket, which actually makes a lot of sense. It's when they
Wait a
use,
minute. I'm kick the bucket was was it something down south?
well, probably, but I would imagine long before that as well.
Oh wait, is kick the bucket when they were going to hang someone and then they kicked the bucket out from under them?
Nailed it. You got it. Yep.
Okay, so even if I
Nailed it.
fail miserably on this one we're about to try, I can
Or piss poor. How about that one? This is a very interesting one. Piss poor.
they're piss poor. It was
I never would have gotten this one, by the way.
one of two things standing out to me. Either they're so poor that they had to piss in some sort of bucket, or man, I feel like something is in the deep recess of my mind. Piss poor. He's piss poor. So what did he have to do to piss? Like where was he forced to piss? I don't know. I don't know that one.
So it could just be fake, but that there was a time back in like the 1700s where piss was actually valuable because they used it to treat things. So the people were so poor that they would have to sell their piss
Ah,
and hence piss poor. And then the phrase doesn't have a pot to piss in apparently is tied to that. Like they were even poorer than piss poor, that they didn't even have a pot to piss in to bring to the people to get their money. I have no clue if that's true, but I found out that that's like the leading, the leading theory on what that means, or the leading myth or origin
yeah,
story,
it's
whatever
funny
it may
because
be.
yeah, there are only so many. I remember when I was at the Coliseum, and there's just a certain contingent of things they just make up. You
Yep,
can't convince me otherwise. And because when I
gotta be.
without being disrespectful, I said, how exactly do you know that they had some sort of sponge that you're claiming they wiped their ass with? Because that's what they said. They had some sponge on a stick and they were
Yeah,
wiping their
yeah,
ass right
I
off the.
remember that. Yeah,
Okay, so
I got one more for you, and then we'll go to the other shoe is going to drop. This
they're
is my
like,
favorite. This is my
no, but no,
favorite
but I
one.
asked her. They were like, well, there's
Oh,
like a
okay.
drawing on a coin. I'm that's how you are taking all of this as gospel. Somebody drew something up on a coin, and you take that
Absolutely.
as the truth. And anyway, but go ahead. So what's the
Absolutely.
other
I'm
one?
sorry. I thought you were done. All right. So this is my favorite one. Who knows if it's true, but this is the origin story, the popular origin story. Saved by the Bell. This is the best one by far. And if you're in attendance, if you're watching this, take a guess. See if you're right.
Saved by the Bell. I mean, the first I mean, it's too simple. You wouldn't say it. If this is your favorite, there's no way it was in old school boxing and you were like about to be knocked out and then the ding, 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 you were saved by the bell. That assumes that that's probably a newer version of it.
Like, to me, I think that's got to be the real one. I feel like it has to be, because that makes more sense than anything else, except here was the one that I pulled up yesterday. And who knows which one's actually true. I think no matter what, a lot of these just, like, you have no clue of, like, the whole 9 yards, they talk about it being 9 yards of ammo, but then they're like, that's not actually true. It had to do with whatever. That back hundreds of years ago, they would bury people, and a big fear was being.
Oh no, I've heard this. Yeah, so they buried them with a string, and then they would pull it, and then so that someone would know they're alive.
Yes, they would have, like, the graveyard shift guys out there. If they heard the bell, they'd go and dig them up. I don't know if it's true. I thought that was fun, quite dark, especially given that they named the child's TV show after it. But I like
think
that.
I think that they. I mean, I've heard of that before. It makes sense that it would be something where you mistakenly buried someone.
Yeah,
So
I
just
mean, it does.
bury 'em with
All
a
I'm
string?
saying is Saved by the Bell, as far as boxing goes, just makes way more sense. Like, that's the best, I think, guess there is out there.
I knew there's no way it could be that because just if it was your favorite, there's no way that was it. So now I think it's time because, I know there are some people foaming at the mouth looking for some sort of football sniff. God forbid we have ourselves a chuckle or two during our free time to warm up. But the other shoe drop, what would be your best guess?
Waiting for the other shoe to drop. This is tough. So one shoe is already dropped.
Yeah, so you got to assume a shoe has been dropped, and now, hey, we're waiting for that other shoe. Where's the other shoe? Where were they dropping shoes?
Like, I'm thinking, is it a cadaver, a corpse? Like, in the second, it still doesn't make sense.
Well, no, maybe.
Did they even call them shoes back then?
Why am I'm picturing a kid who's late to school in old school Italy, like Rocky yelling up to the window, like he's waiting for the other shoe to be thrown out by his grandma. Like,
right.
I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop before I leave.
Come on, Nona, drop the other shoe. I'm waiting here.
Hold your horses, Angelo.
Give it a look up, Dave.
All right. Any final thoughts?
Waiting for the other shoe to drop. The first shoe has dropped. Shoe. Are there other types of shoes that aren't feet related? Like, is it a different word that we're
All right. Do you want to hear it?
Yep.
The true origin story, according to ChatGPT, which, by the way, yesterday gave me all of the fake origin stories and said they were true, and that was reversing course today. So take it with a grain of salt. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one for you. All right.
No, but that's relatively fair. You take it with a grain of salt. It's one in a you disregard it.
Yeah, but I read yesterday that it's like they used to have these remedies where they would tell you to include 1 grain of salt within the whatever.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Fix the up 1 grain of salt. Even me back then would have said that ain't doing a damn thing. I don't taste it on my potatoes.
In early New York City tenement buildings, apartments were stacked right on top of each other with thin floors. A common experience. The person upstairs comes home, takes off a shoe, thud. Everyone below hears it. Then you wait because the second shoe is coming. Thud. The other shoe drops. People in the apartment below literally sat there expecting the second noise because life in those old buildings was loud as hell. All right. Makes sense.
Never it was just frustrated family members waiting for a sound. And
how fucking heavy are these shoes?
But that made it just a general annoyance in a time where people were dying of disease and all sorts of different things. I mean, they had to go to war and they were, that was kind of loud. Like, are you kidding me? That made it?
But how are we ignoring how heavy the shoe must have been to actually be a nuisance?
It had to be Andre the Giant up there for this to be a saying.
That's what I mean.
Jesus.
It's crazy.
Speaking of those New York Giants, no, anyway, week 12. Now that we got that out of the way, Dave and Dan, there's something that I wanted to bring up to you. I got a DM, and somebody said to me, "Well, I hope you did set those Sean Tucker alarms that you were talking about last week."
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're like, do we have any Sean Tucker alts yet? I go, yeah, I'll be sure to set my alarms for the Sean Tucker alts.
Did you do it?
And sure enough, no, I did not. And the last 2 weeks, you were the one who didn't get to enjoy the fruits of that
It's you
sniff.
this week, yeah.
It's me. I made $0, and if that rat bastard didn't message me that, I actually
Never would have even remembered it.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you know how
I
people
know.
are. They like dropping that first shoe,
Yeah.
and then when you're hurt, Andre the Giant stomps that second shoe down.
But
So I
did that
appreciate
person
that.
bet it?
No, I have no clue. He just wants to make sure that I know that.
That you didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, my guess is he did. My guess is he did because he didn't hit me up beforehand. He hit me up afterward. But that was another great sneaky Dave alt. It's like 3 straight weeks now, and it's just, I don't know. I'm never gonna ask you to, hey, what's the play this week? We'll just engage in our natural course of actions and see what happens, because that game right there against the Bills. I mean, no, we didn't talk about Tucker last week because you just kind of casually brought it up, and then you saw that there wasn't a rushing prop available, so that we moved on. But did you want those alts simply because you were following that blueprint of running back against the Buffalo Bills? Is that what created
I don't
that?
remember, honestly. I don't even remember talking about him. But yeah, it would have been that Buffalo's run defense is horrid, man. They're terrible. I put a bet up on tails earlier this week on Monday, Andy, for the Thursday night game. By the way, come hit me up at Laffy over there. You know how to spell it. All my picks are free all season long. And you can turn on notifications. We got an awesome platform over there. But it was. I'm
going to give you some more. Like, Dave's got a little cold.
Yes, my
So
fault.
I'm going to do that for him. Listen, you want some of these great sniffs that Dave's that you want that Tucker when the alarm does go off? Well, you don't have to set an alarm, because if you follow Dave on Tails, you'll know when it's there. You can set the Tails alarm. Wait, how am I going to do that? Because there's an app. There's a Tails app, and then you can click notifications, and you got Dave Sniff coming right to your phone. You got those Sean Tucker alts. He'll give you Chris Tucker alts. He'll give you the Rush Hour franchise and his favorite one. So make sure you follow Dave on Tails over there. You know, some of the guys that I'm friends with at Odd Shopper, they also have their own pages. You can follow all their stuff there. And that's how you fill in for a guy who's got a cold.
It's great work, man. I appreciate it. I knew I liked you. Woody Marks, though, over 56.5 rushing yards was Monday. Now you're looking at like 63.5. So win or lose, you're getting good value on a bet like that. But yeah, like Woody Marks has taken the lion's share of I won't hammer this because it's a Thursday game.
No,
like,
interesting. Do you know, I didn't even know that was the Thursday game.
Yeah.
I was looking for stuff for the show, and I happened to come across that Woody Marks, and I'm going to make sure I get this up at some before the game kicks off. So hopefully you're an early watcher. Well, that's why you click notifications, ladies and gentlemen. You don't get angry when Woody Marks goes for 80, and then what the hell, I didn't know. You click the notifications, like, comment, do all that stuff, and then it will pump this video right to you. But I don't have
or you watch it on Friday, and Woody Marks goes for 30, and you're super glad you watched it on Friday. There's a give and take.
It's a win-win. What do you feel better about? What do you feel better about? The rushing on Woody Marks or something? Because I know I feel like you're always bringing up rushing and receiving. How would you feel about rushing and receiving for Woody Marks?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I like the rushing a little bit better just because 2 reasons, really. The Bills have a terrible, terrible run defense. I mean, it really is. It's abysmal. They're allowing like 155 rushing yards per game, over 120 yards per game just to running backs alone. But more importantly, 5.4 yards per carry. They have injuries on the defense that have always been significant. You look at somebody like Ed Oliver, who's out on the IR. They had a bunch of injuries, man. And when you look at this game, 5.5, 6-point spread, CJ Stroud's out. Davis Mills is starting. He's fine. Again, he's fine. He's not great, but he's fine. It's not like you have to deal with J.J. McCarthy, right? So Davis Mills that guy stinks, man. I'll change my mind when they fix whatever's going on there. But my God, did he let me down in a multitude of ways last week? But yeah, I'll go rushing just because you're seeing the rushing attempts skew really heavily to Marks lately. Does that continue? I don't know. I would think so. He has 32 rushing attempts over the last 2 games. Nick Chubb is nowhere close to that, Andy. So
I do want to add. Well, I wanted to ask you, when you play a team like the Bills, sometimes there's more running touches to go around because there's such a consistent, emphasis on the run, which is why you saw Chris Tucker. I know it's Sean Tucker, but I'm a big Chris Tucker guy. So that's why you saw Tucker get as many touches as he did, and White has his. And it's just something to mention. You're not going to need a ton. Remember, this is an awful run defense. I mean, if Nick Chubb can get to a crusty 25 rushing yards, that's a plus 125. And I understand how few touches he got. But I think that always revolves around the potential defense you're playing against. And yeah, they can get out of this if, you know what? I don't even want to say they're going to get out of it if game script gets out of hand. They don't want this quarterback throwing it every single play. I truly feel like if they're down 3 touchdowns, they still will run the ball every once in a while. Yeah, simply because you just don't want to do that to this type of quarterback. Just something I wanted to bring up. It's, the early game, so hopefully you guys see that before, unless they all lose, and then I hope you never saw this at all and you watched this on Friday afternoon. Looking at some of the later games on Sunday, are there any that potentially stick out to you? Because if there isn't, I'm happy to start, as always, talking about your team, because your team is a fascinating one.
Well, I have one from that game. I actually like the under on Javonte Williams, 70.5 rushing yards.
Interesting you should mention that.
No way. This is why I'm telling
that you should mention that.
Don't talk before the show about this. We talk about random nonsense. That you had that pulled up already?
I have a few screenshots. I didn't even know the last game was Thursday. I thought it was for this weekend. The Javonte Williams under on rushing.
That's great.
Is one that I had. So, you know what? You're always way better suited to talk about the specific. Mine are more sniff related, but if you want to give me something that backs that up, because no one knows your defense, which you've kind of been banging the drum about since the beginning of the year, while I was a little more skeptical about them. Not so much anymore. But why is this under on Javonte a good idea?
Sure. And then let me hear the patented Andy sniff after this. There's a couple of things. You look at them in week 1, Philly's run defense was not good. Jalen Carter got kicked out before the game started when he spat on Dak Prescott. And Javonte Williams had 2 touchdowns, but he still had a really underwhelming game. Now, I don't take too much away from that. What I do take away, though, is the Philly defense on the ground had not looked good early on. But you got a healthy Nakobe Dean. You get Nolan Smith off the IR, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and Jalen Phillips, who is actually, despite being an edge rusher, really making a difference in the run-stopping game, in the run-stopping effort already. So, yeah, I know, Jaden Blue will probably be inactive. Malik Davis is barely spelling Javonte Williams, and he is a true bell cow back. I just think it's really hard to run against this Philly team right now. And I remember Dak Prescott saying at post-game, after Carter got ejected from that game, he goes, yeah, our game plan changed significantly when that happened. And essentially he was saying we ran the ball more. I think they're going to take this to the air as much as they can. I think it's going to be tough for Williams to find running room. And this Eagles run defense has looked, and you could say, their pass defense is great too. I get that, but you still have guys like Adoree Jackson out there, and there's still some weak spots. I think it's really tough to run on them right now. 71.5 seems like a big number.
Yeah, so some of the reasons that I thought were predominantly because of the defense. That's obviously, when you're stopping the Lions, these last couple of weeks, they're giving their opponents nothing, giving Josh Jacobs. They're giving running backs who many consider better than Javonte Williams. They're not giving them much of anything. Then another thing is the Cowboys were successful moving the ball through there. CeeDee Lamb had 15 drops. And I think they know that because they have the weapons, regardless of how good your corners are, to move the ball through the air. So I think a combination of the defense that Philly is going to have up front, along with the fact that CeeDee Lamb was going off against them with all the drops, which is why I'm going unders on running backs. Well, that running back. And now I'm just going to ask you, look at these potential. I mean, I know we revisit this every single week. But first of all, I know it's a high total, but it's just one of those things. I think CeeDee Lamb is the type of guy that's he's just going to do it to these Philadelphia Eagles. I saw everything that I needed to see week one. You need an elite type of receiver to have those type of games. I think in games against good defenses like Dak is going to be going up against, he really looks at CeeDee Lamb and kind of hones in on him. So I typically don't like going over high totals, but I don't mind going over on CeeDee Lamb's here because there always is the chance that one of these days the Eagles actually goes up by a few touchdowns on someone. You know, there's a world here where the Eagles go up and Dallas finds themselves continuously throwing, and then that puts yourself in a good situation to get Lamb going. But once again, these two Eagles receivers against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. If Dallas is able to score, there has to be some sort of offense through the air. But then again, maybe not. Maybe not. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I just had a DFS show this morning with Greg, and we talked about this game extensively because it feels like one that may be overlooked a little bit, but maybe shouldn't be. It's tough. You know, Lane Johnson's going to be out. He's got this Liz Frank injury. That doesn't help. Fred Johnson's fine. And the Cowboys defense, I do agree this is not a particularly good defense, but adding Quinnen Williams is a big deal. They got Overshawn back. Like, they are at least adding some pieces back to the defense, whereas a handful of weeks ago, or, you know, that game we saw against Russell Wilson where he threw for, 900 yards or whatever it was, I do think those are more in the past. Like, the Raiders' offensive line is bad, but Geno Smith was pressured 41% of dropbacks on Monday. He had zero time to throws. I don't know if you watched that game, but it was just a disaster for them.
Yeah, it was a bad game.
It was a really bad game.
Yeah, I seen some videos on the Raiders' offensive line, and it is insane how bad they are.
Terrible, man.
It is insane how bad they are.
But the Eagles' offensive line, even without Lane, like, you have maybe the best offensive line coach in the league and Jeff Stoutland. Like, there's still a lot here. They should still be able to move the ball. Interestingly enough, though, I think one of the plays would be, find ways to work this into a same game parlay or something with some of these overs. I'm not even saying you have to hit the alts, but I do think there are certain ways this game just plays out. Like, I could see the Eagles going down early. I could see the Cowboys going down early. I could see this just being a shootout. There's a lot of ways I could see this going. I think the least likely is that the Cowboys dominate the game on the ground. That feels like the least likely to me. But I can see Barkley ripping off 2 long touchdowns early on in this game. There's a lot of ways that's the least likely, but I do think shootout potential is real. And don't forget, Andy, the first week of the season, right? They opened the year on Thursday Night Football at the Link. That game was headed for like a 70-point total. And then, remember, each team, I think, scored like 3 straight drives.
Yeah, now, granted, it's coming out of the preseason. You got rusty defenses. Nobody knows what they're doing.
No doubt about it. But I think had that game not been postponed or suspended because of the thunder and the lightning and everything, an hour and a half suspension, and then they came back and there were just no points scored at all, to me, I could have seen that playing out a lot differently. These two teams in division know each other well. Dak Prescott plays really well against the Eagles, particularly at home. I do think there's shootout potential here. Fun game.
It always feels like when you're taking props on one of these indoor games, it just feels better. I don't know why. It just feels like any second this thing could just start going wild. Opposed to when you're watching like the Eagles in that Green Bay game, or even at home, just when it's cold and it's outdoors. Sometimes it just feels like, this is going to be 5 yards every play. This is impossible. But if that game was in Detroit, I feel like it would have looked a whole hell of a lot different
Probably.
than cold Goff getting up off that Philadelphia floor. Like,
He was terrible.
did you see his face when he was getting up? He was
Well, he
it's
was getting
different up.
destroyed too, though. He was getting
But the destruction in Detroit, it's like, that feels a little
I
bit
hear you.
better. I got the 70 degrees. It's
I hear you.
You know,
30 mile per hour winds. It's 42 degrees. Yeah.
not ideal. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Chiefs, who, I swear to you, before they lost to the Bills and Rashee Rice had come back and they kind of won in 2 straight games, they were the unanimous, nobody has a chance this year. They were literally saying, like, there's number 1, and then everyone's vying for who's even close to number 2, who's going to get destroyed in the playoffs. Now the dynasty's over. This is a bad team. They're lucky to make the playoffs. You'd rather play them than Denver, hands down. It's just so funny. I know I bring this up every week, but it's just so funny how the narrative can shift instantly. You have these Kansas City Chiefs now. They get the Colts at home. The Colts are coming off of a bye. Mm-hmm. And Daniel Jones has looked pretty bad in the last 2 games. Yep. I mean, they got a win in there, but that was heavily on the back of Jonathan Taylor. Say what you want about the Chiefs. I mean, the Chiefs could have won so many of these games. I literally don't look at them any differently. They're the same exact team, other than what I've said earlier about the Mahomes of a couple years ago, where he's 300 yards and 3 touchdowns against the vaunted Jaguars Saxonville defense in one half. That's been gone for a long time. But I think with Rice and everyone back, he's going to have plenty of games where he's moving the ball methodically. The defense is still very good. And Daniel Jones, can he go into KC and have himself a game? And more importantly, do you think Jonathan Taylor, against a good run defense who's going to be focused on stopping him and a team that needs to win the game, you think he can do here what he has done pretty much everywhere else other than Pittsburgh on the road?
Yeah, he's been insane. But I bet the Chiefs already. I'll go back to I bet the Chiefs last week. I think about it. I think back on it. It's like maybe I shouldn't have, but I still kind of like them coming off a bye, coming off a bad loss to the Bills. But if that's my process, I got to like them more this week, don't I? Like everything you just said, not really all that much has changed. This is also, again, the more I thought about it, I was like, this was a Denver team that was really hungry. And they hadn't beat the Bills in God knows how long. And I forget what the number was, or it's like the Bills were 13-1 against them over whatever. It's just something insane, right? It's not crazy. This is not a divisional spot. Yeah, the Colts are coming out of a bye, but the Chiefs desperately need this win. There are 10 teams in the AFC with records of 500 or better. Chiefs fall to 5-6. Can they still make a run? Yeah, obviously they can still make a run, but it's still a significant game because I think they're 2.5 back of the Chargers and they're 3.5 back or 4 back of the Broncos. The division feels like it's lost at this point. So you're searching for a wild card. I like him this week, honestly. I like Daniel Jones in the sense of like, I'm happy to see what he's doing here and not in that miserable situation in New York. But this is by far the toughest test yet. And I don't think he passes.
Well, he's failed the test in both of the previous 2 games. So
one was against Atlanta.
So like I'm currently on the train of you should be expecting that. Sure. That what he's been his entire career, other than the early stretch of this season, which we now haven't seen in close to a month. But regardless, I want to bring up another sport to illustrate a point if anybody's going to be too down. And go ahead, you could say there's no comparison, different sports. This is just so eerily similar to the Florida Panthers last year and the Edmonton Oilers last year, who these teams aren't making the cup. They went to back-to-back cups. They don't have it in. They look different. Their best players they aren't winning these stupid mid-season games that mean nothing to them. Just in the world of caring, Kansas City already knows they've won a Super Bowl going on the road to Baltimore, to Buffalo. They've done that before. It's a lot harder to get it up mid-season when you know you have those Super Bowl aspirations. Florida, Everybody acted like game one of the playoffs start, and everyone goes, who the hell was that just massacred the hottest team in the NHL? They massacred them in 5 games. And this Chiefs team, it just has eerily similar vibes to the NHL Panthers teams. Like, yeah, okay, lose it. You think they're really worried? This team goes to the Super Bowl or conference championship every year. If that changes, yeah, then maybe they'll start caring a little bit more. And they need to pull out a win probably this week. But still, like, you know, to be down on them like there's some team that is no big deal and the dynasty's over, this, that, and the other, there's a chance they don't lose another game the rest of the way. So just do not dismiss them. And because I do think that, I don't know, we're seeing Indy start to slip up a little bit. It easily could have had back-to-back losses. And if this game plays out somewhat similarly to the game against Pittsburgh a couple weeks back, you know, and you think that the Chiefs come out here and they go up. If the Chiefs go up by a certain amount of scores, they may have to abandon the run to a certain extent, kind of like they did a little bit in that game against Pittsburgh. You know how I am with those high totals. You start ripping high totals, but specifically on the road, outdoor, tough place to play against theoretically a hungry Chiefs team. I'm going to go with the under on rushing and receiving for Jonathan Taylor. I guess you can call it ballsy. I guess taking the Jamar Chase under 15 catches was ballsy. I just like doing this in spots.
He had 2, didn't he? Didn't he have 2 and you bet under, was it 8.5?
Yeah, I think, well, I just brought it up. I mean, I think JSN beat me though, right? His line was 101. Did he get there in the end? Yeah, so he got there in the end.
Poor Rashid Shaheed did not, despite his 5 targets.
Hey, you know, that's why it was one side of the escalator was broken. Okay, so what are you going to do? Escalator Sunday didn't turn out exactly as we'd hoped. But Jonathan Taylor in a tough outdoor matchup at the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs have a good defense still. I mean, they played pretty well last week. It's not like, I mean, they play pretty well every single week other than very early in the season. So I don't know. I'll go with the under on Jonathan Taylor here. I could understand you don't want to take the under on the best player, but this isn't the Falcons that he's playing against. This is a hungry Chiefs team. So that's just one of the sniffs that I saw through the limited amount that we had available this week.
I like it. I don't mind that at all. I mean, a lot of people are afraid to bet those, and you know, 108, 109 is definitely lower than it's going to be when he's in better matchups, but it doesn't. I like that spot for sure.
If that doesn't tickle your fancy, which is a saying that we tried to break down last year, then maybe an over is more your speed. And I don't know. I honestly don't know how I feel about this other than when you throw interceptions and you're heavily critiqued for not being a good quarterback, maybe you end up running a little bit, which is why I want to see what you think about your main man, HOU S.Sanders. What do we think about his 20 rushing yards for HOU S.Sanders? A panicky guy, maybe who's a little hesitant to throw the ball and kind of takes off here and there to pick up a couple of first downs?
I have no idea what to think of HOU S.Sanders this week. You know, like before.
Then this is a fun bet, Dave. This is a bet where you have fun.
Let's do it then. I mean, look, but last week it's like, well, he'd never gotten any real reps with the first team and this and that. He's 4 for 16 passing against Baltimore. They hung in there that whole game, that defense, man. Myles Garrett is just a true freak. He had 3 for 16 rushing. Yeah, I can see it. I mean,
3 for 16 rushing? What did he play? 1 half?
That's what I'm saying. I could definitely see it. You know, Las Vegas defenses, they're not good. All right, fine. Let's go over 19 and a half on HOU S.Sanders. I don't know if I'll bet this one, but I actually get where you're coming from. It's just I really don't know what they want to do with HOU S.Sanders now that they have another
I do. Not drop back and throw it all day so he can have more picks and interceptions. Yeah. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, they just don't want him out there at all. But here we are.
Well, now that he is, you know, if you want him out there, then you don't mind if this guy runs himself into a couple of car accidents. Let's draw up some read options and let's get this guy to the outside running for 12. I mean, I feel like if he got to 19 in a half, man, I feel like this guy, all right, 25 plus rushing yards. I'll go a little alt to get you into the plus money, a little deli slice here, because if you do know this, if he does run a lot, you're never going to see a low number again.
Yeah, it's true.
So
it's not. I mean, look, it makes sense. It does. It's just the other question though, and here's why I always get nervous.
Go
on
ahead,
like this.
Drop the other shoe.
Yeah, let it drop. Cleveland's defense is so good, and Las Vegas's offensive line is so bad that
I know where you're going.
It is possible that Quinshon Judkins has 30 carries in this game. And
so that's just junk.
It's like junk.
And even maybe Junkins isn't even getting a lot of yards, and they're just 3 runs and a punt and 3.
Yeah, they've done that a lot because it's not like they trusted Dylan Gabriel, and it's just a weird spot because you have Max Crosby, you have a few guys that can get some pressure for sure, and I think he probably will have to run, but is he just going to be deer in the headlights too? Like that's another thing I have no idea about.
So would you green light some? Yeah, I'm just going to keep fucking pushing you on a game that there's no way to know anything. No, all right. So would you take 20 rushing attempts for Quinshon Judkins?
No, I don't. I just don't like this game at all.
Would you take the alts for Jerry Jeudy?
Yo, as a matter of fact, Jerry Jeudy's receiving prop was 29.5. And that was one spot where I was like,
I just made that up. I didn't even know his line was listed.
Yeah.
I'm like, who do they have left?
29.5. I was like, God, do I have to?
Yeah, you do. You do.
I feel
Dave,
like
you don't have to. All right. You know how you sprinkle your 1 unit on the alts?
Mm-hmm.
Take a half unit, since that starts at 30, sprinkle it on 60, 70, 80, and if it loses, whatever. Don't even invest just some, I don't know. I've never really done that, but I should try one day looking at the entire board and just sprinkling on guys who are so low but could theoretically, because there are those guys every single week. Atlanta doesn't have Drake London this week. Who knows who's going to be listed? They're probably going to bring Ray McLeod out from the bunkers and pull him off wherever he's been hiding these last couple of months. He's probably on a different team, but you know what I'm saying.
He's not. You're right. Yeah, I mean, look, for all we know, it could be Kyle Pitts getting a 33.5 yard prop with how bad that guy's been. Darnell Mooney. You're right. Like there's that. You bring up a good point. That would be fun. Just sprinkle like a half unit on each of those up the ladder. And bring it towards the top, like maybe not like $110 on there. Actually, they probably won't even have that offering, but bring it up to 80 on a Darnell Mooney.
Who's Tennessee playing again?
No, the Seahawks. I don't want to touch that.
Oh,
I don't want. They're 13.5 point home.
Hey,
dog.
The good news, they're the top receiver. He may be listed at a 12.5 yard receiving prop.
Yeah,
so the alts may be at 25. Their top receiver, you can take the alt at 25 or 30.
Yeah. Yo, can I tell you this though? I mean, if there was ever a time for us to go back to Rashid
Shaheed, you cocksucker.
He's at 35.5 on FanDuel right now. Most books don't have anything posted. I mean, if there was ever a time,
I'll do it.
Go back
he buried you twice, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He only buried me once, so I can still ring my bell. I could be saved by the bell, and you can come through for me before I'm truly dead. You're dead. There's no more bell for you. Go ahead. Let him bury you a third time. Nothing wrong with that.
I think I will, actually. I think. But you know what I might do? I might just not even ladder it. I think what I might do is just straight bet the 100. Or straight just bet the 80 instead of laddering him, because he might just have 20 again.
Wait, so just his regular line, you're saying?
No, I'm saying I might just pick an alt number and only bet that. Like sprinkle a 0.3 unit play or something on the over 80 plus instead. We
call that a little deli slice.
Sure, we'll deli.
So,
sure. We'll put
a little deli slice on an 80. Okay, all right. So
I might do it because.
By the way, I want to tell you something. I don't know if you've noticed this. I mean, I still, as ridiculous as it sounds, I really don't want to make sports betting videos. It just happens to be the lane. Like I
feel
want to
like
make
you
I
should.
want to make entertaining videos. Like that's
Mhm.
most important to me
Sure.
is doing entertaining stuff. But by virtue of what we talk about, I'm assuming over there at Odd Shopper, you guys have been dinged by their new like sports betting, like I don't want to say crackdown, but they demonetize like a bunch of videos or limit videos that have to do with sports betting when you post links and this, that, and the other. Have you guys noticed that?
No.
That's weird because that's
Like
definitely
on you,
going on. Yeah,
you mean
there's a new there's a
streaming
there's a
stuff?
new blanket YouTube policy that auto detects things in videos and restricts them to viewers over 18.
Yeah,
Restricts.
but so what I read that you're talking about the one from like a month ago.
Yeah, a couple weeks.
When I saw that, but I think a lot of that was directed towards like people doing styles of gambling where they were, in gaming and they were like giving away certain, like they were people would essentially gamble to win prizes or this and that. Like if you go and look at that, what they were just
No, but do it. It's certain words. Like it auto detects
really.
certain words. Yeah.
Ours
So
didn't
the
get
fact that we're
demonetized.
saying this now, it might get zapped. But the reason I bring it up is because I was asked about it by someone. My terminology is so ridiculous that I actually don't use a lot of sports betting terms. I call things deli slices and sniffs.
That's a great point.
So it's not
That's a
picking
great.
up
That's
on
a
so
great.
many of my things. Like,
Yeah,
the auto detection, it's like, all right, well, this must be about a deli. And I don't know. He's talking about smelling deli slices. I don't know. So, in case you guys need, if this does become an issue and you need to borrow some of my
that's a great
terminology,
call.
please feel free to. Alts, deli slices,
You probably have the YouTube algorithm so confused, right? I mean, I can't imagine what they're like if they were to recommend you to an audience. I think it'd just break the algorithm. I'm not sure they could
yeah,
figure it out.
it's pretty wild. All right. So before we go, is there anything else that I missed that maybe stood out to you that you want to tell me about other than Shaheed? I don't mind going back to him, little deli slice on 80 plus.
I do have a side I like a little bit this week. Posted this one already earlier in the week. I always want to try and get them up early. And on tails too, you can one click bet it and find your odds, so you don't have to find it in the sports books. The one spot, and I haven't talked to you about this yet though. The Detroit Lions, every time they come off a bad loss, they just seem to dismantle teams the
Yeah.
following week. And
I
so
was
they
going to
lost.
bring up to you, I'm sorry to cut you off because I just want to let you know I was thinking about this, but when looking it up, the first thing I was like, Goff is probably going to have an incredible game, but you're going to have to take his 3 passing touchdowns in order to find plus money. So I decided against it because that's a big ask.
Yeah, I think I'm just bet the spread here. It's a big number, 10 and a half, 10 in some spots, but like they lost to Green Bay in week 1, right? Pretty bad loss, ugly loss. The next week they face Chicago at home. They win 52-21. Then in week 6 they lose to the Chiefs, primetime game, pretty ugly loss, 30-17, never really competitive. They come home the next week. Baker Mayfield has the worst game of the season for him. They beat the Bucks 24-9. Then after the bye, as a sizable favorite, they drop that game outright to Minnesota at home. The next week, not at home, but in Washington, they win 44-22. So coming off of a bad loss against the Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, really bad. Jared Goff's worst completion percentage of his career. Now you're going back home to Detroit to face a Giants team with Jackson Dart coming off of a concussion. They're telling him not to run as much. The season's mostly done. Cam Scatterboo's gone. They got injuries everywhere. It kind of does feel like the type of game where they just go, they just go absolutely nuts. It really does.
Is Dart confirmed healthy enough to play?
He's expected to play.
Because
So
that
from
would scare me a little bit. This son of a gun.
I know.
He keeps, I don't
You're
know.
right.
I mean, he goes wild out there and puts points up.
He does. It's odd. It's very odd. He's talented, but
But you're
I don't
right.
know. I'm not
You're
sure
right.
they're going to let him run as much right now. Like I really don't think they want him running as much right now. The guy's been hit 500 times in his first like 8 starts.
Yeah, well, he also wears like a grill and the Junkyard Dogs chain. I mean, a lot of it is probably on him as well. So I mean, I don't know.
I already told you how I feel about him. You know, you already know.
We said he is the Lord of the 6'7s. Like he is who they all aspire to be.
Yeah,
that's it. They look up to him. They bend the knee to Jackson Dart. He is at the mountaintop of 6'7" mountain. So I guess that will conclude our Week 12 episode. Dave, thank you for your insight as always. Trucking through where you get your vitamin C in there. For everybody here. Oh, it's what you think those Airbornes are helping you because you got that green. Oh, I got my Airborne in there now.
I got my emergency. It does from everything I've seen. It does absolutely nothing once you actually have a cold.
It might make it worse. It might make it worse.
You might get sicker, and then you get sicker, and you're like, I need more emergency, and then you just, you know
what you're explaining. Sorry, we're not going just yet. I'll talk about this on my next podcast. And if you're somebody who's been waiting for that, just with hockey and this, it's been tough, but I'm writing stuff down. And number one, part of the reason I back up a little bit, I don't want you guys to see a mummy that they dug up from Egypt has more moisture on his lips than I do at all times right now. It looks like a barren wasteland. One of the deserts that has dry lake beds that hasn't seen, like it's on Mars, how it used to have water, but now it's just it's been so many millennia that there aren't any, there's signs of where water used to be. That's what my lips are. And you want to know why? Because somebody got me into the Chapstick Matrix, which is the all-time scam. It's the Lay's potato chips of moisturizing. You're like, oh no, I'm hungry. Yeah, let me get, and you just keep eating more chips, and you're not full, and you're worse than when you started. That's what Chapstick does. You use it once, you're done. Your lips are going to be destroyed, and you need to put it on every 20 minutes. They want you in the Chapstick Matrix, and don't let them do it. It's an all-time scam, and that's exactly what I think this Airborne is as well.
You could be right. I've never used it. I typically just peel skin off my lips with my teeth, and it hurts. And then it warms up, and then my lips are fine. I've never been a Chapstick guy. Or you lick your lips, but apparently that makes it worse. It's all the same.
No. Nothing makes it worse than putting chapstick on it. You avoided one of those people with Scientology packets by never dealing with this. You're telling me it's just
a true fraud product, like it's a truly fraudulent product. Is that what you're saying?
It makes the problem. It is exactly like LaCroix, where you're thirsty, but then the sodium in there makes you more thirsty after drinking a LaCroix. One of those sodium. What do you call those things?
I've never had one of those.
No, it's just like it's seltzer waters, water with salt in there that makes you thirstier. So their scam is they're just going to rifle through boxes of these things because they're still thirsty. Right. That's what Chapstick is.
I can't quench my thirst. I need another LaCroix. It's actually brilliant. I have to come up with something where how are they allowed to sell this stuff? Like, you sell something as a cure that actually exacerbates the problem so people go out and buy more of it. It's oddly, brilliant and sadistic at the same time.
And there are plenty of those. But if you guys want to know more about that, just stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because I break these down in full all the time, year round, every year, because no matter how many scams that you uncover, there are always new ones. And then you have my great scam, scams that you can redirect the other direction. Positive scams that, proactive scams. So you can get ahead of the scammers. So you want to learn about that, just make sure you're subscribed here to the channel. There will be more comedy pods out there, along with more episodes of A Dave and a Dan and the hockey shows, and anything that I may or may not think of and put out there for you. So if you can engage with this video and all the other videos, it's greatly appreciated. So just I call them, Dave, the new thing is I call them tiered favors. Tier 1 is like, comment, subscribe. And then you can even click the notifications on there. Tier 2 is its lone tier. the hype button. You get certain amount of hypes per week. You think we did a good job, hit that hype button. And then my personal tier 3, for you, it would be come over to Tails, check everything we got out there. For me, it's join the Patreon, support what you see, be a minority owner, as I like to call them, how like the Packers fans are the minority owner of the team. You join that Patreon, you own this piece of air right up there. That's yours right there. You can say that you own it.
Nice piece of air, Andy.
It ain't the only thing that we got over here for sale. So I will see you guys next week when the other shoe hopefully drops and we nail that Rashid Shaheed deli slice of an 80-plus yards. Take it easy. We'll be back with you next week, week 13.